Welcome to the first episode, number one, of Shooting the Shit with Heaven and my dog Shake. So we decided we wanted to do this because it's kind of a cool way to speak with our members and maybe people that aren't members yet, just to kind of give you a better perspective of who we are and how we trade and in whatever ways we can help you. So, if you have any questions and things you want us to talk about on camera, of course, first you got to smash the like.
Smash
And
that.
then, you can post it in the comments or you can hit us up in the chats and we'll be happy to help. So with our first episode, we decided we wanted to just talk about kind of how we got started. Of course, Shake's been in the game for a lot longer than I have, so I really want to hear what he has to say, and we'll take it from there.
All right, let's get into it. All
So,
right. So, how I began. I wasn't a big finance person. You'll talk to Ben, and he's been in the market since he's 12 years old and stuff like that. I was not super focused on my adult career growing up. I was extremely sports focused. I was a football player. I wanted to go play football in college. That was my main goal, and I did that. And I didn't really know where I wanted to go, so my dad directed me to the finance world. He's like, well, at least you go here, you'll figure out what you want to do, and you'll be able to make money. So then even in college, I wasn't obsessed with the financial markets or anything like this. I went to Bentley. It's a big business school. They have an amazing trading floor, all that stuff. Didn't use it at all until my senior year. Didn't even look at the place. Didn't care at all.
so college was useless. Oh, what a surprise. Okay.
Yeah. I was scrambling senior year to oh shit, I didn't think about my career the first 3 years. Now I got to figure it all out in the fourth year or whatever. So I was, doing these short internships and things like that. And I was getting into these bank roles where maybe I could potentially be an analyst or something like that. And that seemed the most attractive career path out of college that my friends were taking. My friends with the better grades and all that stuff, they'd go to Goldman and they would be an analyst or an investment banking analyst, and they would just live these horrendous lives for a couple of years. And I know a lot of them who went through the ringer and they were still working Goldman and all that. They're doing really well in life, but they live such an awful life and you're just such a slave to your work. So then when I had the opportunity to check out a trading floor, it was a no-brainer. I have to figure this out. Just the action, the everyday action of everyone just being together, just shouting, all excited. And then when you go see that and then you work a regular day at another job, it's just how the hell am I going to do this the rest of my life,
Yeah, right.
So
yeah, no, I mean, I guess I was kind of in the same boat, but I actually didn't even go to school for finance. I kind of didn't really know what I wanted to do either. I wasn't a football stud like you, but I still didn't know what I wanted to do. I went to school for business, and I really only started to learn about finance and trading when I got out of school, which is kind of a shame. I mean, I wish I had learned more about it in school. I would have gotten a better head start. But
well, of course, that's everyone. You think on it now, looking back on those first 3 years, but that's the path we take. Everything happens for a reason. We got to just accept the path we've taken and march forward.
Yeah. No, exactly. I mean, you can't dwell on it, or else you're wasting even more time just
right. Exactly.
living in the past. Okay, so I mean, yeah, that's how you got started. And then what about, when did you really start to see success in this? And did you go fully into trading 100% before you got successful? I don't, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, completely. Yeah, I did. I was balls to the wall. I was so I tried to be, when me and Ben first got that prop trading job, it was me, Ben, and 10 Asians on the desk. It was the most hilarious scenario ever. So it's me and Ben were almost forced to become friends if I wanted to talk to anyone because, our just backgrounds were a lot different from the other guys and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But I was so Ben always had the other bit. Ben was killing on Amazon. He would spend 5 hours of the trading day just doing Amazon shit. And the bosses loved it because he was just a money maker. He was just a money getting dude. He drove the Aston. So they had that initial respect for him. You do your thing. As long as you trade, you give us your trade fees. You can have a seat here or whatever. For me, I didn't have that kind of pedigree or that kind of respect coming out of the gate. So I had to be just I used what I did in the football world and the sports world on the trading floor. I would be the first guy in. I would be asking every fucking question. I would be going to the head guys. I would be bothering the shit out of these guys. Like, it's so funny. I remember my first week or first couple weeks, I went up to the head boss. I made $700. I was like, all right, like I made $700. Like, yeah, it's like I'm the man. And he was like, get the fuck away from me. It was 355. He'd like clean up his positions, heavy day trader. And he's like, get the fuck away from me. And I was like, I like got out of the room, my tail's between my legs. Like, so funny. Like, I'll never forget that. But my mindset in that time was so short-term focused. All I wanted at that time was a Rolex. I was like, I gotta make like $7 grand and I can get a Rolex and they'll take me seriously here and shit like that. So it was going through that in the beginning, and then so I'll take you back through the specifics of it. So I started in 2013. The Twitter IPO was like right around November. That's when I started trading live and stuff. And it was and the market was exploding. It was the third year of this bull run. It was such a great time to be swing trading. So when I came, it was pretty easy to start. And I remember it was April and May. It was like I was pretty flat. I made a few $1,000. In April and May, I made like $35,000. I had a $7,500 account. So I was putting up like insane risk every day. Like just like shit we teach people not to do is exactly what I was doing, because that's what everyone did then. You know, you don't talk about trading psychology. It was never a thing. It was just like, what are you looking at? What's it doing? What's this trade doing? How much you make? There was never any long game aspect of it. So I had those 2 months where I made that 35 grand, and it was like I was a fucking king. Like I figured it all out. I'm trading for 6 months now. My account's 40K or whatever. So then the Alibaba IPO came, and I got absolutely smoked. I was up 12K in the trade, and then I gave it all back. It was the most crazy day I've ever been on a trading floor, because Alibaba, it's one of these super thick names like Facebook, but it's still a high beta. So like we would all be huge tape readers and stuff like that in the IPO days, and it was moving like insanely fast. Like we were just throwing orders out there, they were getting taken. No one knew where the stock was when it was going. It's really hard to explain, because it was just like you had a 3-second delay, but the stock was whipping up $4 or $5. We had this heavy size, everyone was so excited for it. It had a 3-hour delay. It was supposed to open at like 10:30, didn't open until like 1:30. So, and then I was up 12K and I gave it all back, and I took a horrible loss, and it was like devastating mentally for me to take that loss. And then that started like a 2-month 2 or 3 months, it was pretty much the end of that year where I just started trading horribly. Right. You know, that triggered just this like, all right, I have to make that money back. I have to make it back today. I have to make it back in this next trade. So that was the first like boom and bust that I went through, and that is gonna teach you so much about yourself, and emotionally and mentally and stuff like that. I used to have a problem where I would blame other people for my problems. I didn't know I had this problem. It was just like why the fuck, it's because they were looking at that stock too, or they got excited about it that I took this loss.
It's the market's fault. It's everyone but yourself.
Exactly. I was that guy at the beginning. I had no idea about myself that I was even like that. So that's the aspect of trading where it's super eye-opening about the parts that make yourself tick. So when I started learning the trading psychology game, where I was like, oh shit, I feel really bad. I'm trading really bad. I need to do something different. So that was like the first huge lesson I got in like the long game aspect. I have to take a long-term approach. Me doing this everyday shit is just like, I'm gonna go fucking nuts. And like that's not, I didn't learn that lesson and then just become this great trader. It's something that you learn, you go through for years and years and years. I'm still learning lessons every day. So that was a really key time for me. But I can't pinpoint to like one time or anything that was like, oh, that's it. I know I'm going to go hard here. I just always had the mentality that, I have to make it doing this, because I really don't want a fucking desk job,
Yeah. Even though we're at the desk, but it's not the same kind of desk.
It's so different. It's so different. Come on. There's no boss telling me I have to be here at 8 a.m. I'm here because I want to be,
Right. And, for some people, I mean, that's a good thing. And then for others, it's a bad thing. Like there are certain people that they kind of need somebody on their ass, which is why alpha is kind of good in that sense. Because like you're free, but at the same time, there's people that kind of hold you accountable, like if you're, which is why, we kind of encourage people to tell their goals to us, because that way, even though we're not maybe like right on your ass, like, hey, did you do your goals? At least in your own mind, you're thinking, okay, I put those goals out. Like, I'm gonna look like a fucking asshole if I don't actually go through with it. Like
Exactly,
all the other
exactly.
people are doing it, I gotta do it too. So that's that's one thing about having the freedom of not having a boss, but at the same time being part of a community that can kind of keep you accountable and hold you up there.
Right, right. And
Uh,
that human accountability aspect is so important. Like if I say I'm gonna do something to a group of people, I'm 95% more likely to do it because I said it. Because in 6 months, if I didn't do it, it's like, oh, I thought you said you were gonna do this or this. So
yeah,
just having the accountability is very important for day-to-day structure, especially being with trading. So we talked about this for a minute with the shakedown, the watch list, the newsletter I do every week. So
hmm
that gave me such accountability. That's like the biggest
yeah,
blessing that happened in my trading career. Because
yeah,
if I had a lot of trades on or I didn't, I'm not doing that same amount of research. It's
right,
like,
right.
well, I got my trades. I don't need to see what's going on in the market. But now I
hmm
have this accountability. I have a few hundred people counting on me. Like I have to do this shit every week. It's got to be fire. I got to put the six
Yeah, yeah.
hours in. So I
And
think that. Go on.
yeah, and it's a win-win either way. I mean, you're trading better because of it, and our team is trading better because they get the information.
Yeah.
So definitely it's a win-win. And relating back to kind of your roller coaster of just making 35 grand and then going down, I was kind of I did kind of the same thing on a smaller scale this year actually. Like the beginning of the year, I was crushing it. Like I was doing so well the first few months. It was so
January,
easy.
February, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
after Santa came by and the market was just ripping, like I was just
Yeah.
throwing anything at the market and it was working and I was doing great. And then come like April, May, June, it started to decline, it started to get harder, started to chop me up. And I was just blaming everything but myself, even though, and it's,
And how are
I've
you
been through the
mentally? How are you
program.
mentally?
I've been through the programs and all that kind of stuff, and I still felt that way. I was just like, oh, this is bullshit, like Trump and all this stuff, blah blah blah.
Right.
And I was getting chopped up, and then I finally just took a step back, and I looked at it. Another reason why Alpha Chat is great is because I looked at it. I was doing poorly, but there were some people that were doing well. So I can't just tell myself that the whole market's fucked. No one's winning because certain people were making money. So I needed to take a step back, analyze what I was doing wrong, in like a robotic way and not use my emotions on it and just figure it out. And now I'm doing a lot better. After the summer, things are starting to get better. I'm putting out some nice numbers. So it's good. It's on a smaller scale from what you did, but a lot of people, as a mentor, I get a lot of people that message me privately and they tell me like, oh, like I feel like giving up. I haven't made much money. Like I'm down. And I'm like, okay. The first question I asked them, how long have you been trading? Most of the time, the answer is a year or less.
Right.
And then I ask them how much they're down. And most of the time, it's like, I mean, at the most I've heard is like 10%.
Uh-huh.
And I'm sitting there on my screen. I'm like 10%. Like there's professional traders who are losing like 5 times more than that in a year,
Right.
in less than a year. And you're just starting out with a small account because you should be starting small. Your first year, should be. So 10% of a tiny account shouldn't really kill you that much. It does in the beginning because you're not really used to it, but you really have to like embrace it and take it for what it is because the way that I was looking at it when I was down, I was down almost 10% over the summer. I took a 10% chop and what the way I looked at it after was okay, well, this is like the worst it'll probably ever be for me because I
Mhm.
went through it and like I learned and I understand and now I can just improve from there. So, whenever I see people do that and they're on the verge of quitting, I just tell them like you really just need to hang in there. You need to take a step back. You need to look at your mistakes and just improve. I mean, you've only been in it for a year. Like
Right. And
let me know where you're at in 4 years
yeah,
and we'll
no, so you touched on such an important point there. It's like you need to go through those tough times. Maybe your account didn't do the jump, the somersaults that you wanted it to do this year, but like the mental place you're in will have you ready to trade the bigger size when the trades come around and the market's right. Like that's why I believe going through those hard times is so important as a trader. We had guys at the desk, we had super rich guys at the desk who would have $1 million accounts, these guys would go up and down 80K a day and they just wouldn't give a fuck about the money. It was the most insane shit I've ever seen because they were just rich, but it didn't matter. So they never really would get the lessons, even up and down. So guys like us, who like, we got to grind to make it, it's all on us. Like, when we go through those tough times, maybe the account, the P&L isn't there, but what's unseen in the mental aspect of the game where you can take that long-term approach is just like going to do wonders for you 10 years down the line. And that's really how you got to look at it.
It's a long-term game. It really is a long-term game, and it's hard because you see the results instantly. Like, you see your P&L every day, so it's hard to just put that to the side and really focus on the big picture. But that's part of it, and that's what makes the difference between a good trader and a champion trader and a terrible trader. All three of them. You really got to focus on the long stuff. You got to work on it every day, but focus on the big picture.
Exactly, which is so tough. How do you not stare at your P&L and going up and down X amount and still keep that long-term approach? It's not an easy thing to do at all.
Yeah, and especially in the beginning, because you're treating the money in your account like money in your bank account.
Right.
Which is
you can't.
I mean, it really takes time. Like, you can't just all of a sudden not feel that way. But you really have to look at it as just like the chips that you're using for the game.
Ammo, firepower. That's all it can be looked
it's just
at
your buying power.
Can't be dollars and cents.
You can't look at it as, okay, this is my rent for the month. This is my my expensive dinner with my girlfriend this weekend. You can't look at it that way, because then you're mixing your work with your life, with your outside life, and that doesn't work.
Yeah.
So that's something, but again, it just takes time. There's a lot of things that I just don't have the answer to sometimes. Like, people ask me certain things and there's no answer because it's
For example, like what? For example.
For example, I mean selling, just in general, selling a stock. Okay. I always have people asking me like, hey, should I sell here or should I sell there? And I'm like, well, I mean, the answer is yes.
Yeah. Usually it's like, should I sell some here? It's like, yeah, just sell it, because then you're going to be mad at me if it goes down. But yeah, I get that same exact question all the time, and there's just no black and white answer, because the answer is within you.
Right. And even if it's right, even if I told you, yeah, sell right there, and let's say I nailed it. The problem is, for that trader, what he's writing in his journal is, I sold here because Heaven told me to.
And then now he needs you for every single trade.
So now Heaven has to tell you, or Shake has to tell you every time to do something. That's not what we do. We're not here to just trade for you. We're here to teach you how to trade. And a lot of that comes with just trying things, figuring it out on your own, being wrong sometimes, analyzing it, being right sometimes, and focusing on those strengths and getting rid of the weaknesses. So there's a lot of stuff in there that just only comes with time. And I'm talking like I have as much experience as you do, but I don't. But you really start to learn exponentially.
Yeah. After your first and second year, you really do.
For sure, yeah, and that's why I'm super hyped, because I'm a little over my second year now with you guys, and it's really changed a lot of how I do things outside of trading also. That's the great thing about trading, is like, we're not just teaching you how to trade, we're teaching you how to be disciplined, we're teaching you how to learn, we're teaching you how to make mistakes and improve on them. I've said that like a million times already, and that's outside of trading.
It's true, yeah. No, I mean, it gravitates towards every part of life. Go on.
We have people, we have people in our chats like opening businesses, selling new products on Amazon, doing a bunch of stuff, and it's great to see. It's super motivating.
And the Alpha Chat, you're going to get 50, 100 orders of whatever business you start off the jump, because we just support each other. We get everyone to start a business. I want you to start a business. I don't want you to quit your job so you can be a full-time trader like me. I want you to start 6 other businesses and just trade on the side. I'll fucking show you the best charts and all that shit. So it's like, we long-term growth in every aspect of life is what trading will really teach you.
Right, absolutely. Yeah, no, that's for sure. And that's another thing that, a lot of people that I see in the newer chats, they're always like, their goal is to quit their day job and become traders.
Right.
And 99% of them completely underestimate what it actually takes to do that, first of all. And you shouldn't do it at all, personally, is what I think. But a lot of people underestimate it. Like, I remember there was somebody who said like, oh, as soon as I get to 25K, I'm gonna reduce my work hours so that I can focus on trading. And I said, oh, well,
Right.
why 25K? And he's like, oh, because then I'm over the PDT rule and I can trade as much as I want. I was like,
They just
yeah,
lose one trade and you're under.
right. You're at 24, you're done. Like that's it. Now you gotta go back to your job. So, I think,
And now you need to make the money. When you need to
right.
make the money, it's a whole lot harder.
Of course, 100%, because there's going to be years where you might not make any money, even when you're great. There's going to be times when you don't make money. So you have to not only have money saved up, because that's the other thing, if you're taking money out of your account every month, you're never going to grow your account
Exactly.
unless you're trading with like, seven figures and you can take a
And then
little
you
bit
don't
out.
need the money as much anyway. Then it's a whole different story, a whole different ballgame.
Right, right. So,
So then, if you have a seven-figure account, yeah, you can take the time because you don't have to worry about rent.
right. Yeah,
So
exactly.
that's a different ballgame completely.
So just take it slow and let it ride.
Yeah, absolutely. And then back to the selling thing. So the reason I said the answer is within you for selling because my time frame is completely different than your time frame, than Ben's time frame. Everyone's time frame is very individual to themselves, and that's something you kind of got to figure out on your own. So like our goal in the handbooks is to give you the proper principles, proper chart patterns, the little secrets we learn along the way. But you have to take that information and figure out how it's going to work best for you. I can't tell you do A, B, and C because you haven't seen what I've seen. We haven't gone through the same shit, and it's all like personal. So
yeah, absolutely. And I think a great thing also is I personally this year I've really started to focus on seeing how certain people in the chat trade.
Okay.
So, like, for example, I mean, you see Higgins talking about NVIDIA, you're like, okay, I should probably put my eye on NVIDIA because he just knows how that thing trades. You look at someone like E-Rich who really knows how to catch the bottom of a bounce.
Yeah.
Like today, actually, he actually looked it
super
up.
momentum names.
Yeah, I was looking at LK, and it was just like it perfectly, in a great consolidation over the last 4 days, bounced off that support. And I was looking at it, and right when I was looking at it, E-Rich posted a message like, okay, about the bounce. And I grabbed some right there because that helped me make a conviction because I know that he likes those trades. And so I was already thinking about it, plus his on top. It's just kind of layers of probability. And I did so good on that one today. I mean, I'm up a good chunk just today, and it hasn't even broken out yet.
And
so
just how much more confidence did you have putting on the trade when you got that confirmation that someone else was seeing what you're seeing, especially a guy who looks for exactly that.
Right. And that's why, because there's also a lot of people in the chats that they don't really speak up in Alpha Chat, but they'll message me privately.
I yell at people all the time, like, put this in the chat.
Yeah, and I'm fine with it. I'm obviously going to answer them, but at the same time, it's like, put this in the chat because, like, you don't only want my advice. Like, you should get advice from other people because maybe you don't trade like I do, which is fine. I'm not trying to make you trade like I do. I want you to trade like you should. There's people that have full-time jobs that maybe can't check the market at 9:30 a.m.
Right.
Maybe you should be looking at more like how Ben trades. Maybe you should be looking at how other people trade and don't just look at what I do. And instead of I'm reading Mindset Secrets by Minervini, and there's one part that says don't ask for advice, ask for insight.
Okay.
And that like kind of stuck with me because that's exactly what it is. It's like because most of the time anybody who gives you advice, they're just looking at it from their perspective. Whereas if you just kind of give insight, you just tell them how you see it, but you don't tell them what to do.
Much more of an unobjective viewpoint than you should do this.
Right, exactly.
Because you don't know what's going on with that person's point of view, their perspective. So you might be asking them for advice, and they might be all fucked up in the head and be giving you the wrong advice. Whereas you ask for some objective information. Oh, I like how it held 35 there. It's turning down resistance to support, or whatever the case may be. But yeah, that's a nice little point. I like that. Ask for insight, not whatever the hell you said. Not advice. Yeah, I like that though.
Yeah. Oh, here's a good question, Shay. So, if you weren't trading, I mean, I probably already know the answer, but if you weren't trading, what would you want to be doing?
What I want to be doing, or what do I think I would be doing? Because I mean, I want to be a rapper, Heaven. Why wouldn't I want to be a rapper?
What? Fine. What do you think you'd be doing? You could be a rapper. You got bars.
I'm not sure. I'm not sure. I know that I've always wanted to start a business and just build a business from the ground up. I had like a little clothing company in college. It never really got anywhere. I was selling like snapbacks and shit like that. But I always wanted to be my own boss. I learned a really important lesson when I was 17 about inputs. I was like a dumbass troublemaker kid, and whenever I would get in trouble, I got some stupid shit happened to me. And so my dad, he worked in construction. He would go make me dig. I would have to go dig foundations with all of these Mexican laborers. And these dudes were the hardest working guys I've come across in my life. They would work from 8 to 4, wouldn't stop, wouldn't take breaks, wouldn't bullshit. There's no looking at phones. Like, these are the hardest working guys I've ever seen in my life. And they were making the most minimum wage possible. So that taught me so much about inputs and outputs. So then when I learned I could just press a few computer buttons and make thousands trading, it was like, fuck, that was the real driver of how I have to figure this thing out. So then to go off of that, like, what would I see myself doing? It was, my uncle was the business owner, but just seeing how he handled his day to day and how, because of his inputs and his investments in the right places, like, he could live a much easier life than having to dig, So I just want to be in some capacity where I'm the business owner or I'm building something of my own. I just cannot do a day job or where I'm just punching the clock for someone else. It's just I've known that since I was young. So I look at me and Bennett meeting as like destiny because he was what I needed, the sales aspect, to start this business, which eventually became a full-time job and all that. So yeah, it was just business on my own, something I could build.
Yeah, and I mean, props to the people that do put in that kind of work, and we have some of them in our alpha team. Like, some of them work hard labor jobs, and they still find the time to do their charting, to do their homework, and to make money trading, which is amazing because they're putting in all that work, and instead of living paycheck to paycheck, they're investing it, they're saving it, and they're growing it while still busting ass doing those 12-hour days, sometimes in the snow and the hot sun and all that kind of stuff. So, big props to them for doing that because they're really growing.
Yeah, I respect those guys the most.
Yeah.
Shout out Colin. What up? See you in Vermont.
Hell yeah! Shout out to Colin Higgins. Well, he's almost out of there. He's
Higgins is almost out.
He's close to being out of there.
Yeah. He's building. I like it.
Right. Yeah. Well, me, I mean, if I wasn't trading, I do a little real estate as well. I do it. It's like a family kind of business.
Okay.
We're originally from France, so I'm kind of the connection when there's kind of language issues. So I'm like the administrative assistant, I guess you could say. But I break some walls and stuff too.
Are you the first generation American for your family?
I'm actually not American. Well, I'm an American citizen now, but I wasn't born here. I was born in Paris.
Wow.
Yeah, so my brother's the first American. So he's gonna be president.
Okay.
He's gonna be president. Oh yeah, Shane 2040. You can vote for him.
Okay.
But yeah, so I do real estate and I do my trading as well. But I think that if I wasn't doing either of those and like money wasn't even a question, I would definitely be racing. I would love to be just on the track all day long. It would be like a dream to me.
Right.
So hopefully one day not be a full-time racer, but I'll at least have some track time on the weekends. That's kind of like one of my main goals is to just have a nice little track car in the garage waiting for me on Saturdays and Sundays, so I can just go out there and rip it with some good friends, because you meet a lot of cool people doing it as well.
Oh yeah, imagine some cool accents out there.
Yeah, it's not a cheap sport. So you meet some cool. It's I mean, for me, it's like a cooler version of a country club for sure.
So do you find yourself racing pretty often on the weekends right now?
No, I wish I could. I recently had an experience with a good friend of mine who has a Ferrari, and we went out for like a track event and met a bunch of cool people out there with some fucking crazy cars. But it's nice to kind of get around that. When I was younger, I would do a little bit of karting and stuff. But now it's just I don't really have like the time or just the funds in general to go do that. But the goal is definitely to get back in it.
That's cool. I like that. That's a good goal.
Yeah. All right, man. Well, hey, for all of you watching, remember, I want you to demolish the like button. Just smash it out of this world. I want it to be the most liked video we've had on this page, and I want you to below.
Fuck Bennett. We don't need Bennett. What do we need Bennett for?
We don't need
him. We don't need him.
Hashtag we don't need Ben. Okay? Smash the like. Throw us a comment. Let us know what you want to hear from us. You know,
Any questions?
we like to hear ourselves talk, so it's fun, and we want to answer whatever questions you have, whether it's directly with trading or maybe outside of trading, whatever you want to hear from us. We're more than happy to throw it into a video. So thank you guys for watching, and see you soon.
All right. See you soon.